Fudge, your breath really stinks. You need to go brush your teeth. Go brush your teeth. Go. Go brush your teeth. Ew. Close your mouth. See, how do you like it when someone puts their breath in your mouth? Puts their breath in your mouth, in your face. Pudge, please, I need some space, boy. We need to work on personal space. You need to read the employee handbook. Yeah, that's a good distance, 6 feet, 6 feet. Hello, I'm back, the headless YouTuber doing headless planty things with my trusty panty pug Pudge. It is a beautiful day. You might hear birds singing in the background because apparently I am Snow White or something, and I just realized I forgot to turn off my lights back there, so I will magically do that right now. Oh, I forgot they're on two different. I'm slouching. There we go. So today is kind of a simple and easy one, nothing too complicated, but as we sort of like get into the thick of spring, which is super exciting, I kind of wanted to just show you some of the non-plant things that I use every day that has sort of made my like everyday plant care things a lot easier and has just sort of made the process of repotting, rehabbing, and all of that just a much smoother process. And a lot of them are just very simple things. I feel like all of us have been kind of repotting all year because a lot of us are using controlled environments, and when you have controlled environments where you're not really letting your plants go through like a winter, they're just gonna keep growing. So, you know, going into spring, yes, I would say the growth has been more robust over the years, but it's not a lot different than kind of what we all go through year round for the most part. But I will say that with spring comes more pests, like infinitely more pests. I'm dealing with thrips and spider mites right now, and I use systemic and I use sprays, and they just find their way into the house, and for me it's just become like an inevitable thing. So when you kind of have this like stress cloud hanging over you dealing with stuff like thrips, you don't really need all of the other stuff we're doing to be stressful too. So I'm just gonna take you through, I think there's about 10 things that I wanna highlight that I use every day that has become such a big part of my everyday plant care. And just in case anyone is looking for ways to get organized or just make things easier for themselves, then keep watching. But I need to put lotion on my hands because I just sanitized it and she's dry. The first thing that I'm going to show you are the organizing boxes that I use for substrates, and I have them all labeled. I just have one of those Dymo, I think it's called Dymo label makers. And if you watched my video where I like Pinterest organized my entire plant cabinet, you'll see me kind of get everything organized and stuff. But just doing this has seriously been so helpful because before I never really had like dedicated boxes for things. I would just have these plastic bins, and then when one of them emptied out, I'd just be like, okay, well, now I'm gonna put Leck in here. And it was kind of chaotic, and like there were like residual dirt and things. I would be too lazy to clean it out. So now that everything has like its own box, it's just been a lot less chaotic in terms of doing everyday things that should be pretty easy. And especially with doing YouTube now, just trying to stay organized has really helped the process of setting up, filming, and then even the after cleanup, which is like my least favorite part about this gig. I usually have a very large batch of soil already made, and I'll keep that in a cool, dry place. I keep all of my substrates in a cool, dry place, away from grow lights, away from heaters. Down at the bottom, I'm not gonna dig it out, but I've picked out like really, really big pieces from the horticultural charcoal that I buy, and I try and keep a few large chunks in here and in my larger bin, and I just find that it keeps away like things like mildew and like mold and stuff. Like I always store my soil in these boxes, and I've really never had any issues with any of those things. So my suggestion is get either a large bin or a small bin. grab, you can add horticultural charcoal, or you can just add big chunks of charcoal into it, just so that it kind of stays fresh in here. And because I'm reaching for this so often, it's not like it's being sealed for months and months. It is being aired out like pretty much at least a few times a week, or at least once a week. So yeah, I've got one for my soil. I didn't grab all the boxes for my plant room, but I've got one for sphagnum moss, and I actually have 3 bins of moss. I have this one here that you can see it has perlite mixed in, so this is my sphagnum moss with perlite mixed in. I have sphagnum moss that is purely moss, and then I have sphagnum moss that is mixed with like husk perlite and a bunch of different things, leca. And I just try and keep things separate so that it's easier to work with when I actually need it. All of those boxes are just from Canadian Tire. I think I got them for like, I don't know, like $1.15 each or something. Like, it was really, really cheap. They also sell them at the dollar store. And then this one are the Samla Ikea bins. I really like this size, especially if you do work with more substrate than I do. You can, like, if these are too small, then you can just opt for these, and they're very easy to stack. They're clear, so you can see exactly what it is without needing to label it. So yeah, organizational bins for each of your substrates. I do have some more other organizational stuff that I want to show you as well. Again, if you watched my cabinet organizing video, you'll see all of these jars that I picked up at the thrift store. Actually, I will say that 90% of the bins and things that I use in my cabinet, and even just in my plant room in general, are all from the thrift store. Oh, it's not comfortable. I have this thing called tinnitus. I think I'm saying that right. I just have this like high pitch ringing or sound in it, and it just like makes my brain hurt. I can still hear it, but it's like it fades out slowly, and then I start to get sound back in my right ear. Why are there so many things wrong with me? So yeah, I got these from the thrift store. I keep things like systemic, sulfur dust, mycorrhizal inoculants, diatomaceous earth, worm castings. Everything that I reach for all the time are just available for me in these little jars without me having to go to the original packaging and whatever. So I'll just refill them as I need it. Having these in jars have made specifically doing repots and just filming in general for YouTube a lot easier. I think that before I used to just get really stressed out seeing all the like packaging of the stuff that I'm using and then having to open it up and then grab it and put it away. Whereas this, it's just as easy as like flipping it open, grabbing what I need, and then just putting it back where I know it belongs. It's nice because, you know, they're seal tight, whatever, nothing can get in, nothing can get out. I've dropped these before and they're like bricks. So I think that I got each of these for like, I think it was like 50 cents or something at the thrift store, whereas if you get it from Ikea, I think they're like a lot more expensive than that. Before you go to Ikea and spend a bunch of money, I would definitely suggest checking out a thrift store first, because a lot of the times people's old Ikea stuff end up at the thrift store anyway. I feel like Ikea is one of those places where people kind of like, they buy things and then like they release the newest thing and then they want to like get rid of all of their old Ikea stuff and then get the new stuff. So I am just constantly finding Ikea things at our thrift store locally. And I'm pretty lucky that I have a really, really good thrift store like literally down the street from me. If you guys want to know, it's called Value Village. That thrift store specifically has a huge like homeware section, and that's where I get all my vessels. That's where I get all of this. It's like pretty much half of the things that I use in my kitchen are from the thrift store. So yeah, grab a bunch of these. They're like so helpful for all these like powders and fertilizers and crap we use on a daily basis. So highly recommend these for sure. The next few things I want to show you are things that I use to clean my substrates, and I have a few, and these are not even all of them. I think I probably have like 10 different strainers. I've gotten every single one of them from a thrift store or hand-me-downs from my mother-in-law. All 3 of these are hand-me-downs from my mother-in-law. The ones that I used to use from the thrift store, I still have them, but I am reaching for these ones a little more often. And I will tell you what I use it for. So these two are very similar. This grid is, or this mesh is a little bit larger than this mesh on this side. So for this one, You guys probably know, if you've been here a while, you know that I love to mix my substrates. I love to mix leca and lechuzepon, perlite and lechuzepon, and leca. Did I say that already? But I just love mixing my passive hydro substrates. I think maybe some of you have seen me meticulously pick out my leca from my substrates, and I only more recently got this one from my mother-in-law. I've had this one for a while. The point of it was like I wanted to strain out all of the leca and separate it from the lechuzepon, and it works for like the smaller grade lechuzepon but not the large chunks, and then it gets stuck in here. So I did stumble upon this one, which has like the perfect mesh size. So I literally just dump everything in here, just give it a little wiggle, and all of my leca ends up in here. All of my lechuzepon is at the bottom, or in whatever bowl I catch it in, and it's like separated. So I have saved myself hours and hours and hours of work just by getting these two strainers with different mesh sizes. And another thing that's really great is this size specifically is really great for sifting out soil. So if I want to, and I will show you in a little bit, oh no, I don't have it with me. So if you watched my soil video, or you watched the video where I repot my Florida green, I show you my little box of sifted out amendments that I've taken from old soil, and this has helped so much. And then I'll do a second round and use something like this, which has a really fine grade mesh, and then I'll dump the soil and the little small lechuzepon that wasn't able to be caught with this one, and then it gets stuck in here. So it's like a two-part process, but obviously there's not gonna be like the perfect grid to catch all the different grades of substrates that we're using. But these three grades have just been so helpful in sifting out my amendments, and then also even just cleaning leca. So when you get like leca or perlite or lechuzepon out of the bag, it's very, very dusty, and I personally don't want that dust sitting in my plants. Lechuzepon actually said you're not supposed to rinse the lechuzepon, but it is so gritty and so dirty and dusty. There's just like no way that I would let all of that sit at the bottom of my vessels. So I always sift it out first. You can just put your lechuzepon straight into this and give it a rinse. You can put your leca straight into this, give it a rinse, and it just makes things so much easier. Another thing that I want to say on that topic, and that's why I have this little thing. So you don't really want, the dust and like the small grits of sand that comes from leca and lechuzepon going into your drain. I know that a lot of people will just straight up rinse it and just let everything kind of go into the drain, and I don't know, like not only am I renting and I'm not trying to like back up the pipes in our building, I've just heard that it's not recommended to allow those things to like go into like the water line or whatever. So what I do is, let's say that I have a new batch of lechuzepon that I'm working with, I will scoop it directly into here, and then I'll rinse it, and then I'll put this one in my drain with either a cheesecloth or 2 paper towels, just wet paper towels, and I'll stick it in here, and then you put it in the drain. You're rinsing the dust and the sand and whatever out of here. It's going into the sink, and then it's being caught in this thing. And using a fine mesh grade like this prevents substrate from going into the sink or going down the drain. And then when you have like the cheesecloth or the paper towel that's inside of here, it catches all of that sand. And then once you're done, you have all of your sort of like grit and sand stuck in here, and you can either just throw it away, or if you're using a cheesecloth, just kind of like, before what I've done is just let it dry completely, and then when it's dry, I'll just dump it into the garbage. But I just try and like be conscious of what I'm doing specifically in an apartment to clean my substrates, because it's not like I just have a hose and a garden. If I just had like my lawn or whatever, I would just be rinsing it straight in the bag and letting it drain into my dirt, but I don't really have that luxury, so I do have to be more careful. So the combination of these have just been really helpful, and who knew you could talk about strainers for half an hour? The next few things I want to show you, one is obviously plant related. Mossify is a Canadian company, Canadian small business that has worked with me since before I even started YouTube, and when I was like kind of still sort of new to like the plant Instagram world. So I've just loved to support them through their journey because they've always been supportive of me, even though I didn't have as big of a platform as I do now. Not that it's large, but a lot bigger than when I started, obviously. So I had this sprayer before this sprayer. This wasn't made just for plants. This is literally just an automatic spray bottle, and I've used this for, I want to say I've had this for a year and a half, and I've charged it like twice. This thing runs like a horse, and the reason that I want to bring it up today is because I was a little bit hesitant of using, apparently there is a space shuttle flying over my building. Oh my gosh, I am slouching again. So the reason that I'm bringing this up today is because I only used this to mist my plants before, but I was always hesitant to put fertilizer in here for a foliar spray. But I always thought like, man, it would be so perfect because it's literally like such a fine mist that you don't get huge water droplets on your plants. And if you've got hard water or you are using some kind of fertilizer in the spray, it can leave stains on the leaves, which are like my pet peeve. Yeah, I was kind of worried that like the minerals and whatever that was inside of the fertilizers would get trapped inside whatever mechanism is in here. But one time I was like, you know what? Since Mossify sent me this one, I'm just gonna sacrifice this one as a guinea pig and just see how well it functions as a foliar spray bottle. So I've been using this for maybe 7 months as a spray bottle with fertilizer in it when I do foliar sprays, and it works perfectly. There's like, I've had zero issues with it clogging or just kind of malfunctioning. It's just operated so well since I've had it. Yeah, I want to highlight this because I have been using my like pump sprayer, you know, that big, I think it's like 8 liters or something. It's like 2 gallons. It's like a 2-gallon sprayer. It does have a fine mist option, but it's definitely not as fine as this, and it leaves fairly large water droplets on the leaves when I'm doing foliar sprays. So this one is my preferred if you have been wanting to do foliar sprays but you're worried about like large water droplets. This is such a fine mist that as long as you're like moving, like you're not just kind of like holding it towards a plant and you're just like moving it around like that, it leaves such a like a nice like thin layer of just hydration on the surface of the leaves. This one as well, this one has a larger sort of spray range than this one, although this one looks a little bit more industrial. I actually find this one to be stronger and more wide of a spray than this one. But the perk of this one is that you can adjust the nozzle. So if I'm gonna do like foliar spray plus fertilizing the poles, I just have to like adjust it a little bit and then I can spray the poles. But now that I have my pump sprayer, I kind of use that to wet all my poles anyway. So this one is just being used as a foliar spray, and this one is just for water because I don't know, maybe long term, maybe in like a year or two, this thing is gonna be totally wrecked. But honestly, I paid like, I don't know, I paid like $25 for this. So if I can get like 4 or 5 years of spraying with this for $25, I would still be very happy. This one is sort of random, but is one of my favorites. This bin here is just from Ikea. It comes with this little cabinet, not cabinet, but this little like sort of shelving thing where you slide it in. And they've got these big sizes, and then they have like a smaller size that's not as deep. And I think you might have seen me use them in a few repots. And I use the thinner ones specifically for repots now, like when I need to dump substrate or something and I don't want it to get all over the place. And then my 2 large ones I'm using for, all of this is old soil that I need to sift amendments out of. And pretty much when this fills to the top, that's how I know it's like it's time for me to do it, which is right now. So I think I'm gonna try and tackle this in my week of plant to-dos. The only thing I hate about doing this is like having a layer of dust everywhere. So I usually try and do it outside, but these bins have been so helpful. I'm actually using the shelving unit inside my closet now, but if you've been looking for a place to like store soil or perlite or just dry substrates like leca or old soil like I'm doing, I highly recommend those bins. They come in handy so often, and I can't find where I put the thinner ones. I'm using it for something else right now, and it's kind of missing, but these were actually gifted to me from a neighbor. They were getting rid of it, and I was originally going to use it in our front closet, and then I just realized how perfect it was for plant stuff, so I've just been using it for plant things since then, until obviously very recently when I moved it into my closet. But I just wanted to at least bring it up because I was using it in my plant room for a really long time. And yeah, it's just a really nifty little thing. I only have a few more left here. This is gonna be a pretty short video. I didn't wanna like overwhelm you guys with so many things and make you feel like you have to like run out and go buy stuff. Some of these things you can definitely find at thrift stores, so I wouldn't go like on a shopping spree or anything. Just definitely try and get things secondhand. Obviously, this video would not be complete without my best friend. Okay, we're gonna try that again. You have to focus. Obviously, oh my gosh, do I live at an airport? Can you tell I'm gonna get my period? I'm so cranky. Everything's pissing me off. We're gonna try this again, but he has to focus. No, he's home. I'm never gonna film this video. My husband just got back from his appointment. I'll be right back. You can go ahead and finish this video.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay, so hi everybody. What we've got here is, well, first of all, the headless YouTube husband coming right at you. So what we have here is your basic magnifying glass, which is used mostly to get a good up-close view of your leaves and see if there's any irregularities, also to possibly burn a plant to death if you use the sun as well. So you've got that. It's a must-have for everybody, of course.
Okay.
You've also got a bunch of little pots that you can use for teeny tiny plants.
Okay.
Just very teeny tiny plants. Got quite a few of them because you have a lot of teeny tiny plants. And then, you know, why wouldn't you have a little tiny broom and things of that nature? So anyways, this has been my TED Talk. Thanks everybody.
You did pretty good.
No.
I was actually surprised that Vince got so many of those accurate. I thought it was gonna be so wildly different than what he actually said, but that is a plant husband for you. So I'm just gonna go back over what he said. These I featured in my Back from California video. These are just like little dessert cups from the dollar store that I use mostly for Hoyas right now and small propagations, aka teeny tiny plants, as Vince said, but they're just so perfect. And I think Amazon sells these in like a wider version and they're cheaper than the dollar store. So take a look at those. I will see if I can remember to link it in my Amazon storefront. But honestly, this size is perfect. I think it comes in a pack of 8 for $1 or something like that. And I just love that you can see obviously right through it. It's the perfect size for Hoyas. Well, the Hoyas that I have anyway. Most of my Hoyas are really small. But I thought I'd highlight this because it's technically not a plant related product, but I use these so often now. So that was a quick one. Don't mind my husband, he's just making lunch. He just got back from an appointment. As Vince said again, a magnifying glass is so helpful when you're going into spring, especially with spider mites. It's really, really hard to kind of tell, like distinguish between dust, spider mites, diatomaceous earth. A lot of people don't know what they're looking for, but if you have something like a magnifying glass, you can actually see them like moving around the plant. You can see the webbing a lot more clearly. And I just got this one from my mother-in-law. We were cleaning out her townhouse. I used to have one that was from the dollar store. I do not recommend buying a dollar store magnifying glass. They're so, like, they're just crap. You don't even get to magnify it that much. It's like 0.15% magnification. So this one has been a lot better. This is also helpful if, like Vince said, looking for, what was the word he used?
Irregularities.
This is really great if you're trying to spot early damage in plants. Like spider mite damage are like those teeny tiny little dots that you see, and it can also resemble thrips damage on emergent leaves. But also with thrips damage, you know, it leaves sort of that yellow markings. You can see sort of these veins coming through on the leaf blade, on the abaxial and on the adaxial. So being able to spot those things early before it's bad is really helpful in mitigating and controlling a full-on outbreak. Especially I would say if you're new and you're not super familiar with what you're looking for exactly. You can even get up close shots to take photos for other people. Oh, I'm gonna let him make his lunch, hold on. I told my husband he better be quiet when he's eating. They can see you. You're literally in the frame.
Oh, that's so funny. Hello. Hello.
No, I moved the camera. I better not hear no smacking, no chomping.
I'm sure you will. How can I know?
Go get. Okay, so.
Quiet as a dog.
So when Vince came home, I was actually talking about this and I was trying to get it to focus. Oh, there we go. If you're not new here, you know that this is my trusty earwax scraper that I don't use for there, that I don't use for my ears, but I use it for chunk cleaning and I use it to release You're really gonna eat chips right now? Chips of all things? Chips. I said, let's have a quiet lunch. So he grabs a bag of freaking chips. Okay, pour some out. I wish you could see how cute Pudge is right now. Hi. He's skittering around like a rat. Okay, so I think this thing doesn't want me to talk about it, but this is my earwax scraper that I use to clean chunks, like all my imports, plants that have root rot, plants that I just am trying to get to push out new roots, and then also to release plants from the sheath, plants that are just kind of stuck. And I will scoot over a little bit and I'll see if I can insert some clips from my Instagram that I have saved. Yeah, I just really like the precision on this thing. I know that a lot of people like to use Q-tips to specifically release a plant from a sheath, and I have used that method before, but again, I just like the precision of this, and it has like the perfect sort of like edge here that it's not so sharp that it'll be really abrasive to your plant, but it's sharp enough. Oh, they're puppies. Oh, they're puppies. They're so cute. It's not sharp enough that it would like really like scrape into a plant if you're careful, but it is sharp enough that it will do a lot of good cleaning with the right sort of tension on it. And I like this size because I find that the shorter handle gives you more precision. I usually hold it like this, and it's just, yeah, I have a longer earwax scraper, but I just don't really like it. And the tip is very, very important to me. Some of them will have a very like dull tip and it's really hard to scrape. You're gonna be scraping forever and ever and ever, and you're actually gonna do more damage than you want. Oh my gosh. Why is filming impossible right now? So yeah, the handle, okay. The handle length matters a lot, the tip matters a lot, and this is just my perfect size, it's my perfect everything. And I've mentioned this before, I got this in a nail kit. I got this in a nail kit on Christmas from my mom, and I don't know where you can buy it individually, but I've heard people get them at like weed shops if you ask for a dab tool, or you can just search online for an earwax scraper. But this thing comes in handy so often, and this is like probably my absolute favorite non-plant plant product. If you're gonna get anything in this video, get yourself one of these. Jeez, finally. Okay, so now we're moving along. I know this one is so random, but honestly, it wasn't until recently that I got a broom with a dustpan, and I use my Dyson to clean my plant room, clean after filming. But having one of these to just quickly like pick up leca, pick up perlite, pick up pond without it getting sucked into your very, very expensive vacuum, it's just helped a lot. I use this for my plant table, like when I have sort of debris that's kind of everywhere, I just go along the edge and then I sweep it into here, or just on the floor. And just having it during filming has made my cleanup so much easier, because I don't have to like worry about like grabbing the vacuum and not being able to like pick up leca or whatever. Like as I'm actually working, after every pot, I'll just go in, clean up around me, clean up the table, and just like start fresh, so that at the end of like a big repotting day, I'm not just like overwhelmed with this massive mess. So I know that this is so freaking random and a lot of us are just using our vacuum, but if you don't own like a mini dustpan with a broom, I highly recommend you get it. It's one of those things where I can't really explain why you need it. You just need to have it and then use it, and you'll be like, oh, that's why I needed it. The second to last one are my little Reptile boxes that I've been using for a while now for my propagations. I think that these are used for, I don't know what kind of reptiles or what kind of anything, if it's for bugs, but I'm not in like the reptile world. I just got these through a recommendation from Alice, and these are just perfect because they've got these little teeny tiny breathing holes that let in and out as just like the perfect amount of air for propagations. And honestly, everything that I put in these boxes do so well. The only thing is that I've only been able to find them in these small boxes. I kind of wish they had ones that were taller or like wider for my larger propagations. But there's also this little flap here that you can use to just open quickly and add more water, or just like every few days I'll just leave this open to really air it out, especially if it's like on a hot day or something. You just want to avoid mold and all of that stuff. But I've got about, I think this is dead. What is this? I think I have about 5 of these that I'm always actively using them. They're just really great for like these kinds of things that you just don't want to like use in a pot or something. And these look a little bit better than like takeout containers, although I would recommend, I use takeout containers all the time. I just feel like it's wasteful to not use them. But again, I like these solely because it's got these breathing holes, and it sort of makes for like the perfect little environment for your propagations. And I find that everything I put in these grows significantly faster than the ones I'm putting in the takeout containers. And one thing with takeout containers is that a lot of the times the bottom part is black and then the top is clear, which is fine. But I like being able to see on the sides like if roots are growing, and it kind of acts as like a no drainage vessel in a way where I can keep an eye on roots. I had a batch of my seedlings growing in here, and I was easily able to tell that like it was getting pretty root bound just by tipping it over without needing to like take out the whole thing. So I don't know where you can grab these. I don't know if they're available on Amazon, but I would try like your local pet store. Just ask them for like a Reptile box. They might give you the ones that sort of look like one of those like temporary fish tanks with a handle that you take home fish in or something, but specifically ask for these ones. Again, I don't know the brand, I don't know anything. I'm gonna try and see if I can find something similar and link it in my shop. But yeah, try your local pet store or reptile store first. The last one is something that you have seen before. This one is a little bit newer. These are the Muji filing boxes. They're polypropylene, I believe. Yeah, polypropylene. And I have 2 plants potted in this right now. I have my Gloriosum and I have my Ploumanii. I can grab one of them to show you how I potted it, but I've been using these for a long time for my plant cabinet. I put like my fertilizers in one, I have all my pest stuff in one, and it just is a nice way to keep it organized and all together, so that when I need to do stuff like fertilizing, I can just grab this whole thing out and use it and then put it back in. But then I realized like how great they would be for crawlers. There is a hole on one side, so you do have to cover it. I just use the same, I just used the same plastic that I used for my lazy poles to cut a square to fit this, and it's worked just fine. So if you've been looking for a nice vessel to put your crawlers in, I recommend these ones. I think this one was it says this one was $6.90, but I got it on sale. I think it was like $4 or something. And then the other one that's not as wide as this was like, I don't know, it was like $2 something. I don't remember. But it wasn't the price that I paid on this. I got it on sale. But let me go grab my Gloriosum that is currently potted in this thing just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. I've had this one potted in here for, I'll have to go back and see when I posted that YouTube video, but I actually repotted this on camera and it's actually taken really well to being in this vessel. I'm not seeing any new roots, but it also has not reacted badly, which is a great thing. It fully hardened and pushed out this new leaf. It just seems to like it. You can see I did a layer of leca down at the bottom and then just topped it with soil. And on this side, it's completely blocked in with the clear plastic that I use. And I just really like the way it looks because I was using the, what are those called? The Elho pots. They were about 3/4 of this size. They were a little bit wider, but I didn't really need it to be. I've got all my windows open because it's hot, so you can hear everything. We get it, you're goose. Wow, I am cranky Charlie today. Okay, so let's just finish this up. I don't really remember what I was saying. Oh, right, the Elho pots. They are comparable. The Elho pots are a little bit wider than this, but a little shorter. They don't come in a clear color, and I just really like all of my plants out here to have clear vessels. I do have a few in black planters, and they kind of bother me and I don't really like it. So I'm probably this spring going to get them out and into clear vessels once I do another thrift haul. But otherwise, these boxes are fabulo for crawlers, and I'm actually going to be repotting my big Gloriosum into one of these pots, and I will throw up a photo of the newest leaf right now over here. It is incredible. I would bring it down to show you, but I'm too lazy, so you will get a photo instead. But this leaf is freaking massive. It is not double the size of my other leaves, but it's significantly larger than the other leaves that have come before it. And it's not even fully hardened off yet. And it is just the most majestic thing. And it is now being acclimated to about 30% on this shelf, whereas it came from something that was around 50, 55. I did lose 2 leaves, but anyway, it's out here now, and she is going to be repotted in this thing. Hopefully it's big enough. I might need to cut the tail end of the chonk, but I really don't want to have to do that because I'm trying to not cut my plants and just let them kind of live and do its thing. But when you're working with a limited amount of space, sometimes you don't really have a choice. But anyway, I was gonna throw it for dramatic effect, but I realized that's a stupid idea. So anyway, that is actually it for everything I wanted to show you. Again, there are other things that I use that are not plant related, but they're not as important to me as these ones are. This is the perfect time to get organized. It doesn't matter if you don't have a plant room, if you literally just have a plant cabinet or a plant drawer or a plant box. It's nice to kind of go through everything and try and get it as organized as possible. You know, throw away things or donate things that you're not using anymore. There were a bunch of fertilizers I had tried previously, like Newt and Liquid Dirt, and it just wasn't for me, so I just gave them away to people locally. And yeah, it's just nice to kind of purge things that you don't need. Even plants, you know, like sell them locally, sell them on Marketplace, and just kind of start fresh in the spring so that everything in your collection are plants that you love and are plants you want to see glow up over the year, and my dog is snoring, so I'm gonna go. But I hope you like this video. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it, because it helps Pudge and I's visibility a lot on YouTube. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching another video, and I will see you in the next one.